Welcome to the Story Lab. I hope you enjoy this story. Let's begin. I leaned back in my leather office chair, surveying the Manhattan skyline through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my penthouse office. Another successful day in the life of Alex Michaels, tech entrepreneur extraordinaire. My company's stock had jumped 15% after our latest product launch, and I was riding high on the wave of success. As I gathered my things to head home, my phone buzzed. A notification popped up. Vanessa added you to the group. Fun times. Winky face. I frowned, puzzled. My wife rarely added me to group chats, especially ones with such a suggestive name. Curiosity piqued. I opened the chat. The blood drained from my face as I scrolled through a barrage of explicit messages and videos. There was Vanessa, my wife of 5 years, entangled with not one, but two men. Greg Thompson, a business associate I'd introduced her to at a charity gala last year, and Marcus Reed, a name I vaguely recalled as an old college friend of hers. My hands shook as I gripped the phone, forcing myself to keep reading. The messages were graphic, detailing their encounters and plans for future rendezvous. Vanessa's words dripped with lust and excitement, a stark contrast to the cool affection she showed me at home. "Fuck," I muttered, slamming my fist on the desk. The sharp pain grounded me, pulling me back from the edge of blind rage. I took a deep breath, my mind already racing with possibilities. This wasn't just a moment of weakness or a drunken mistake. This was a full-blown affair, maybe even two. I couldn't confront her. Not yet. I needed more information, more evidence. If Vanessa wanted to play games, I'd show her just how outmatched she was. With cold determination, I started taking screenshots of the chat, downloading every video and photo. Each click of the save button felt like another nail in the coffin of our marriage. As I worked, my phone buzzed again. A text from Vanessa. "Hey babe, running late at the office. Don't wait up for dinner. Love you." I stared at the message, while rising in my throat. How many times had she fed me these lies? How long had this been going on under my nose? "Love you too, honey," I typed back, my fingers stabbing at the keys. "Don't work too hard." Tossing the phone aside, I poured myself a generous glass of scotch. The amber liquid burned my throat, a welcome distraction from the pain clawing at my chest. As night fell over the city, I sat in the darkness of my office, plotting my next move. Vanessa had no idea what she'd unleashed. I'd built an empire from nothing, crushing anyone who stood in my way. Did she really think I'd let this betrayal slide? No, I decided, draining the last of my scotch. I'd gather my evidence, bide my time, and when the moment was right, I'd show Vanessa exactly who she was dealing with. She wanted to have her fun? Fine. But she'd soon learn that every action has consequences, and I intended to make hers catastrophic. The next few days were a special kind of hell. I went through the motions of our life together, all while carrying the crushing weight of her betrayal. Vanessa noticed my cold demeanor, but I brushed off her concerns with vague mentions of work stress. "Are you sure everything's okay, Alex?" she asked one night over dinner, her hand reaching for mine across the table. I pulled away, focusing on cutting my steak. "Just a big deal in the works. Nothing for you to worry about." She frowned, hurt flashing in her eyes. "You know you can talk to me about anything, right?" I looked up, meeting her gaze. For a moment, I almost believed her act the caring, supportive wife. But then I remembered the videos, the messages, and my resolve hardened. "Of course," I lied smoothly. "I appreciate your concern. How about we open that bottle of Chateau Margaux? Might help me unwind a bit." Vanessa's face lit up. "That sounds perfect. I'll go grab it." As she bustled off to the wine cellar, I allowed myself a grim smile. Let her think she was comforting me, easing my troubles. Soon enough, she'd realize just how deep those troubles ran and exactly who was to blame. The next morning, I made a call I never thought I'd have to make. "Lena Kovacs Investigations," a crisp voice answered. "Ms. Kovacs? This is Alex Michaels. I need your services for a delicate matter." There was a pause on the other end. "I'm listening, Mr. Michaels." I laid out the situation, my voice never wavering as I detailed my wife's infidelity. Lena listened without comment, only asking the occasional clarifying question. "I want everything," I finished. Every meeting, every gift, every dirty little secret. Leave no stone unturned. Understood, Lena replied. I'll get started right away. But Mr. Michaels, are you sure you want to go down this road? Sometimes, ignorance is... I cut her off. Ignorance is for the weak. I want the truth, Miss Kovacs, no matter how ugly. Can you handle that? Absolutely. You'll have my first report in 48 hours. True to her word, Lena's intel started flowing in. Vanessa's affair with Greg had been going on for nearly a year. Their business lunches, a thinly veiled excuse for hotel rendezvous. Marcus was a more recent addition, rekindling an old flame after bumping into Vanessa at a college reunion. Each new piece of information was a dagger to my gut, but I forced myself to read every sordid detail. I needed to know exactly what I was up against. As the evidence mounted, I knew I couldn't keep this to myself any longer. I needed allies, people I could trust implicitly. My sister Kelly was my first call. Jesus Christ, Alex, she breathed after I'd filled her in. That conniving bitch. I never liked her, you know? I couldn't help but chuckle. Yeah, well, your instincts were better than mine. What are you going to do? I'm working on something, I said, my mind already spinning with possibilities. But I could use your help. You in? You even have to ask? Just tell me what you need. My next call was to Jordan, my best friend since college. His reaction was less restrained than Kelly's. I'll kill her, he growled. And those two bastards she's fucking. Just say the word, Alex. I appreciate the sentiment, but I have something else in mind, I replied. Something that'll hurt a lot more than physical pain. Jordan was quiet for a moment. You're scary when you get like this, you know that? But I'm with you, man. Whatever you need. With my team assembled, I dove deeper into my research. Greg Thompson, it turned out, had more than just a wandering eye. He'd been embezzling from his company for years, using the funds to finance his lavish lifestyle and expensive gifts for Vanessa. Marcus Reed was cleaner, but his job at a rival tech firm raised some interesting possibilities. Vanessa, meanwhile, remained blissfully unaware of the storm brewing around her. She continued her charade of the loving wife, all while sneaking off for quickies with her lovers. Each kiss she gave me, each "I love you" that fell from her lips, only fueled my determination to see this through. One night, as we lay in bed, Vanessa turned to me with a smile. I've been thinking about my birthday next month. What do you say we throw a big party? Invite all our friends, really celebrate? I forced a grin, my heart racing. This was the perfect opportunity I'd been waiting for. That sounds great, honey. You deserve it. Why don't we go all out? Rent out that rooftop venue you love? Vanessa's eyes lit up. Really? Oh, Alex, that would be amazing. She leaned in to kiss me, and I returned it, imagining the look on her face when her perfect party came crashing down around her. Anything for you, darling, I murmured. You only turned 35 once, after all. As Vanessa drifted off to sleep, I lay awake, my mind racing. The pieces were falling into place. Soon, very soon, I'd have my revenge. And Vanessa? She'd learned that crossing Alex Michaels was the biggest mistake of her life. The weeks leading up to Vanessa's birthday party were a masterclass in deception. By day, I was the doting husband, helping with guest lists and catering choices. By night, I was orchestrating her downfall, piece by meticulous piece. The venue's confirmed for the 15th, Vanessa announced over breakfast one morning. I can't believe you got us the Skyline Terrace. It's going to be magical. I smiled, raising my coffee mug in a mock toast. Only the best for you, sweetheart. Have you decided on the guest list yet? She nodded, pulling out her phone. I think so. All our usual crowd, plus a few work friends. Oh, and I invited Greg and Marcus. You don't mind, do you? I know they're more my friends than yours. It took every ounce of self-control not to react. Of course not, I said smoothly. The more, the merrier. In fact, why don't you let me handle the invitations? Give you one less thing to worry about. Vanessa beamed at me. You're the best, you know that? I don't know what I'd do without you. As she leaned in to kiss my cheek, I allowed myself a small, grim smile. Oh, you'll find out soon enough, I thought. With Vanessa distracted by party planning, I focused on the technical aspects of my reveal. My friend Max, a whiz with audiovisual setups, was key to pulling this off. So let me get this straight, Max said as we huddled in my home office. You want to hijack the party's video system to play. What exactly? I handed him a USB drive. Everything. Texts, photos, videos, the whole sordid affair. Can you do it? Max whistled low. Damn, Alex. This is cold. But yeah, I can do it. You sure about this, though? There's no coming back from something like this. I fixed him with a hard stare. I'm sure. Vanessa made her choice. Now she gets to live with the consequences. As the day of the party drew nearer, the final pieces fell into place. Lena provided the last bit of damning evidence, hidden camera footage from Vanessa's most recent rendezvous with Greg and Marcus. Kelly and Jordan were briefed on their roles, ready to provide support and manage the fallout. Vanessa, meanwhile, was riding high on the excitement of her approaching birthday. She flitted around the house, finalizing details and chattering about her outfit. I played my part, offering opinions on centerpieces and smiling at her enthusiasm. The night before the party, as we lay in bed, Vanessa snuggled close to me. Thank you for all this, Alex. I know I've been a bit crazy with the planning, but I just want everything to be perfect. I stroked her hair, my touch gentle even as my heart hardened. It will be, sweetheart. Trust me, this is going to be a party no one will ever forget. She laughed, oblivious to the double meaning in my words. I love you. You know that? I love you too, I replied, the lie bitter on my tongue. As Vanessa drifted off to sleep, I stared at the ceiling, my mind racing. Tomorrow, everything would change. The life we'd built, the lies she'd told, it would all come crashing down. Part of me almost pitied her, ignorant of the storm about to break. But then I remembered the videos, the texts, the casual way she'd thrown away our vows. Any trace of sympathy evaporated. Vanessa had made her bed. Now she'd have to lie in it alone. Morning dawned bright and clear. A perfect day for a celebration or a reckoning. I rose early, double-checking every detail of my plan. Max confirmed the AV setup was ready to go. Kelly and Jordan were on standby. Lena's final report sat heavily in my briefcase, a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. As I knotted my tie, Vanessa emerged from the bathroom, radiant in a shimmering gold dress. How do I look? She asked, twirling for me. I took in the sight of her, knowing it would be the last time I'd see her like this carefree, beautiful mine. You look stunning, I said honestly. The belle of the ball. She crossed the room, wrapping her arms around my neck. And you, Mr. Michaels, look positively dashing. I'm the luckiest woman in the world. As she kissed me, I allowed myself one moment of weakness, remembering the good times, the love I thought we'd shared. Then I steeled myself, pulling away with a practiced smile. We should get going, I said, checking my watch. Don't want to be late to your own party. Vanessa laughed, grabbing her clutch. God forbid. Let's go paint the town red. Oh, we will, I thought as I followed her out the door. Just not in the way you're expecting. The skyline terrace was transformed, twinkling lights and flowing champagne creating an atmosphere of understated elegance. Vanessa gasped as we entered, her eyes wide with delight. Alex, it's perfect, she breathed. I can't believe you did all this. I squeezed her hand, my smile never wavering. You deserve it, sweetheart. Now, let's go greet our guests. As we made the rounds, I watched Vanessa closely. She was in her element, laughing and chatting, accepting birthday wishes with grace. My skin crawled as I saw her greet Greg and Marcus, the quick, secret glances they exchanged. Quite a turnout, Jordan murmured, appearing at my elbow with a glass of scotch. You ready for this? I took the glass, downing it in one gulp. As I'll ever be. Everything set? He nodded. Max is ready when you are. Kelly's got eyes on the exits, just in case things get messy. Good, I said, my resolve hardening as I watched Vanessa throw her head back in laughter at something Greg said. Let's get this show on the road. I made my way to the small stage set up for speeches, tapping a knife against my glass for attention. The room fell silent, all eyes turning to me. Friends, family, honored guests, I began. my voice steady. We're here tonight to celebrate a very special woman. My wife, Vanessa. A cheer went up from the crowd. Vanessa beamed at me, raising her glass in acknowledgement. Vanessa, darling, I continued, locking eyes with her. You are an extraordinary woman, full of surprises, always keeping me on my toes. A ripple of laughter went through the room. If they only knew. In fact, I said, my finger hovering over the remote in my pocket, I've prepared a little video to showcase just how surprising you can be. Vanessa's smile faltered slightly, confusion creeping into her eyes. Alex, what? I pressed the button. The lights dimmed, and the large screen behind me flickered to life. For a moment, there was only static. Then, crystal clear, came Vanessa's voice. Oh God, Greg, don't stop. Fuck me harder. The room went deathly silent. All eyes swiveled between the screen, where Vanessa and Greg were in the throes of passion, and the real Vanessa, who had gone pale as a ghost. Alex, she whispered, horror dawning on her face. What is this? I met her gaze, allowing all my pain and fury to show. This, my dear, is the truth. Your truth. As explicit texts and images flashed across the screen, gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. I saw Greg trying to slink towards the exit, only to be blocked by Kelly's steely glare. You see, I continued, my voice carrying over the growing commotion. My wife has been very busy this past year. Not content with just one lover, she decided to add another to her roster. Greg, Marcus, why don't you stand up? Let everyone see the men who've been fucking my wife behind my back. The crowd's murmurs turned to shocked gasps as Greg and Marcus reluctantly stood, their faces a mix of shame and defiance. Vanessa had gone from pale to bright red, her eyes darting around the room like a cornered animal. Alex, please, she whispered, reaching for my arm. I can explain. I jerked away from her touch, my voice cold as ice. Oh, I think the videos explain everything quite well, don't you? But please, Vanessa, enlighten us. Tell everyone how you've been lying to my face for months while screwing these two behind my back. The screen continued to play a damning montage of evidence texts, photos, and snippets of video that left no doubt about the extent of Vanessa's betrayal. I watched as our friends and family reacted with a mix of disgust, pity, and morbid fascination. You bastard, Greg suddenly shouted, lunging towards the stage. You had no right. I stood my ground as Jordan intercepted him, twisting Greg's arm behind his back. I had every right, I shot back. This is my wife, my marriage you helped destroy. Did you really think there wouldn't be consequences? Marcus made a move towards the exit, but Kelly blocked his path, her expression fierce. Not so fast, lover boy, she spat. You're going to stand there and face what you've done. Vanessa had sunk into a chair, her head in her hands. Alex, she sobbed, looking up at me with mascara-streaked cheeks. I'm so sorry. It didn't mean anything, I swear. I love you. I laughed, a harsh, bitter sound that silenced the room. Love me? You don't even know the meaning of the word. But don't worry, Vanessa. I'm about to teach you exactly what it means to betray someone who loved you. Turning back to the crowd, I raised my voice. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid the party's over. But before you go, I have one last announcement to make. I locked eyes with Vanessa, savoring the fear I saw there. I'm filing for divorce. Effective immediately. The room erupted into chaos. Some guests started to leave, while others crowded around, eager to catch every moment of the unfolding drama. I felt a hand on my shoulder and turned to see Kelly, her eyes shining with a mix of pride and concern. You okay, big brother? She asked softly. I nodded, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. I will be. Thanks for having my back. Jordan joined us, still keeping a wary eye on Greg and Marcus. That was one hell of a show, man. What's the next move? I straightened my tie, surveying the wreckage of what was supposed to be a birthday celebration. Now, we clean up this mess and start planning for the legal battle ahead. Something tells me Vanessa isn't going to go down without a fight. As security began ushering people out, I caught sight of Vanessa huddled in a corner with Greg and Marcus, their hushed conversation punctuated by angry gestures. I allowed myself a grim smile. Let them plot and scheme. I'd already won the first round, and I had no intention of losing the war. The morning after Vanessa's disastrous birthday party, I sat in Linda's office, nursing a strong coffee and a pounding headache. My lawyer looked fresh and alert, already rifling through a stack of documents. "So," Linda said, looking up at me, "are we ready to start the divorce proceedings?" I nodded, my jaw set. "More than ready. What's our first move?" Linda leaned back in her chair, tapping her pen against her desk. "Given the evidence we have, we're in a strong position. I suggest we file for divorce on the grounds of adultery. We'll push for a favorable division of assets, citing the prenup and Vanessa's infidelity." "Good," I said, a grim smile playing on my lips. "I want her to walk away with nothing." Linda's eyebrows shot up. "Alex, I understand you're angry, but the courts generally prefer an equitable division of assets, even in cases of infidelity." I leaned forward, my voice low and intense. "Linda, she didn't just cheat on me. She humiliated me, made a fool of me in front of everyone we know. I want her to feel the consequences of her actions." Linda held my gaze for a long moment before sighing. "All right, we'll push for the maximum we can get away with. But be prepared for a fight. Vanessa's not likely to go down without one." As if on cue, my phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. "Alex, please. We need to talk. Can we meet?" I showed the message to Linda, who shook her head. "Don't respond. Any communication should go through me from now on." I nodded, deleting the message with a swift swipe. "What's our next step?" "We file the paperwork today," Linda said, already reaching for her computer. "I'll have a draft for you to review by this afternoon. In the meantime, I suggest you lay low. The media's going to be all over this story." She wasn't wrong. As I left Linda's office, I was ambushed by a swarm of reporters, their cameras flashing and microphones thrust in my face. "Mr. Michaels, can you comment on the events of last night? Is it true you publicly humiliated your wife at her own birthday party? Are you filing for divorce, Mr. Michaels?" I pushed through the crowd, keeping my head down and my mouth shut. Jordan was waiting for me at the curb, his car engine running. "Get in," he said as soon as I was close enough to hear. "We need to get you out of here." As we sped away from the media frenzy, Jordan glanced at me. "How you holding up, man?" I let out a long breath, feeling the weight of the past 24 hours settle on my shoulders. "I'm fine. Just ready to get this over with." Jordan nodded, his eyes back on the road. "Kelly's been monitoring social media. It's pretty intense out there." "How bad?" He winced. "It's mixed. A lot of people are on your side, calling Vanessa all sorts of names. But there's a vocal minority painting you as the bad guy for exposing her like that." I snorted. "Let them talk. They don't know the half of it." We rode in silence for a while before Jordan spoke again. "Listen, Alex. I know you're not one for talking about feelings and shit, but are you sure you're okay? What you went through, what you're still going through, it's a lot." I turned to look at him, ready to brush off his concern, but the genuine worry in his eyes gave me pause. "I'm angry, Jordan. Angrier than I've ever been. But I'm also relieved, in a way. No more lies, no more pretending. Now I can focus on taking her down and moving on with my life." Jordan nodded slowly. "All right. Just remember, Kelly and I are here if you need anything. Even if it's just to vent or get drunk and break shit." I cracked a small smile at that. "Thanks, man. I appreciate it." As we pulled up to my penthouse, I saw a familiar figure pacing in front of the building. "Vanessa." "Shit," Jordan muttered. "Want me to get rid of her?" I shook my head, my anger flaring up again. "No, I've got this." I stepped out of the car, straightening my suit jacket as I approached Vanessa. She looked a mess, her eyes red and puffy, her hair disheveled. "Alex," she said, her voice breaking. "Please, just let me explain." I held up a hand, cutting her off. "There's nothing to explain, Vanessa. I saw everything. I know everything." She reached for me, but I stepped back. "It didn't mean anything, I swear. I love you, Alex. We can work through this." I laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. "Love me? You don't know the meaning of the word. If you loved me, You wouldn't have fucked two other men behind my back. Tears streamed down Vanessa's face. I made a mistake. A terrible mistake. But our marriage is over, I interrupted, my voice cold. I've already started the divorce proceedings. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. Vanessa's face crumpled. You can't do this. What about everything we've built together? Our life, our home. You should have thought about that before you decided to cheat, I snapped. Now, get out of my sight. And don't try to contact me again. Any communication goes through our lawyers from now on. As I pushed past her to enter the building, Vanessa called out, You'll regret this, Alex. You're throwing away years of love over one mistake. I turned back, fixing her with a hard stare. No, Vanessa. You threw it away. I'm just cleaning up the mess. With that, I walked into the building, leaving my soon-to-be ex-wife sobbing on the sidewalk. As the elevator carried me up to my penthouse, I felt a mix of emotions: anger, hurt, but also a sense of freedom. The worst was over. Now, it was time to rebuild. Weeks passed, and the divorce proceedings were in full swing. Vanessa was fighting tooth and nail for every penny, but Linda was worth her exorbitant fees. We were holding our ground, and I was confident we'd come out on top. But as one battle seemed to be winding down, another was just beginning. It was late one night when my phone rang, Lena's name flashing on the screen. Mr. Michaels, she said as soon as I picked up, her voice tense. We have a situation. I sat up straighter in my office chair. What kind of situation? I've been monitoring Marcus and Greg, as you requested, Lena explained. They're planning something. Something big. My free hand clenched into a fist. Tell me everything. Over the next few minutes, Lena laid out what she discovered. Marcus and Greg, humiliated by their exposure at the party and furious at the hit to their reputations, were plotting revenge. They were targeting my company, looking for vulnerabilities they could exploit. Do you have proof? I asked, my mind already racing with possibilities. Audio recordings and some incriminating emails, Lena confirmed. I'm sending them to you now. I thanked her and ended the call, immediately dialing Jordan's number. Get to the office. Now, I said as soon as he picked up. And call Kelly and Max. We've got a situation. An hour later, my core team was assembled in the conference room. I paced at the head of the table, laying out what Lena had discovered. So what's the plan, boss? Max asked, his fingers already flying over his laptop keyboard. Want me to beef up our cybersecurity? I nodded. That's part of it. I want every system locked down, every potential vulnerability identified and plugged. But we're not just playing defense here. Kelly leaned forward, a glint in her eye. What did you have in mind? A slow, predatory smile spread across my face. We're going to set a trap. Give them exactly what they think they want, and then we're going to bury them. Jordan whistled low. Damn, Alex. Remind me never to get on your bad side. I turned to Max. Can you create some fake, insider information? Something juicy enough to make them think they've got a real shot at taking us down? Max grinned, cracking his knuckles. Consider it done, boss. What kind of bait did you have in mind? Make it look like we're cooking the books, I said after a moment's thought. Hidden accounts, inflated profits, the works. But make sure there's a trail leading back to Marcus and Greg if anyone digs deep enough. Kelly's eyes widened as she caught on. So when they try to expose us, they'll actually be exposing themselves, I finished. Exactly. We worked through the night, setting up our elaborate trap. Max created a series of convincing but entirely fabricated financial documents, while Kelly and Jordan worked on a plan to leak the information in a way that would seem believable. As dawn broke, we gathered for a final review of the plan. All right, I said, looking around at my tired but determined team. Let's go over it one more time. Max? Max nodded, pulling up a diagram on the main screen. I've created a false server that appears to contain sensitive financial information. It's protected by security that looks tough but has a deliberate weakness. When Marcus and Greg's team tries to hack in, they'll think they've struck gold. Good, I said. Kelly, my sister picked up the thread. I've set up a fake whistleblower account. Once Max gives the signal that they've accessed the server, I'll start leaking hints about financial irregularities to key industry watchdogs and financial journalists. Perfect, I nodded. And Jordan? I'm on standby with our PR team, Jordan said. As soon as the story breaks, we'll express shock and concern, promise a full internal investigation. We'll look like we're taking it seriously while actually controlling the narrative. I smiled, feeling a surge of gratitude for my loyal team. Excellent work, all of you. Now we wait for them to take the bait. We didn't have to wait long. 3 days later, Max burst into my office, his eyes wide with excitement. They're in. Greg and Marcus's team just accessed the fake server. I leaned back in my chair, a sense of grim satisfaction settling over me. And so it begins. Kelly, start the leaks. Jordan, get the PR team ready. It's time to spring our trap. Over the next week, the business world was rocked by rumors of financial irregularities at my company. The stock took a hit, and the vultures started circling. But we held our ground, expressing appropriate concern and cooperating fully with the inevitable SEC investigation. Then, just as the frenzy was reaching its peak, we released our masterstroke. An anonymous source, actually Kelly, using her fake whistleblower account, provided evidence that the whole thing was a setup orchestrated by Greg and Marcus. The fallout was spectacular. Greg and Marcus, thinking they were about to land a killing blow, suddenly found themselves in the crosshairs. The SEC turned its attention to their companies, uncovering actual financial misdeeds in the process. As I watched the news coverage of Greg and Marcus being led away in handcuffs, I felt a sense of vindication wash over me. They had tried to destroy me, to finish what Vanessa had started. Instead, they had sealed their own fates. My phone buzzed with a text from Jordan. Justice served, boss. How does it feel? I thought for a moment before replying. It feels like the beginning of the end. Time to close this chapter for good. The arrest of Greg and Marcus sent shockwaves through our social circle. Vanessa, already reeling from the divorce proceedings and public humiliation, was further isolated by her association with the disgraced businessmen. I received a call from Linda a few days after the arrests. Alex, she said, an uncharacteristic note of excitement in her voice. You're not going to believe this. Vanessa's lawyer just called. They want to settle. I raised an eyebrow, though Linda couldn't see it over the phone. Settle? On what terms? Essentially, our terms, Linda replied. Full division of assets as per the prenup, no alimony, and she's not contesting any of your claims. I let out a low whistle. What brought this on? Linda's voice took on a grim tone. From what I gather, she's desperate. The scandal has torpedoed her social standing, and with Greg and Marcus going down, she's lost her support system. She just wants this over with. I considered this for a moment. Part of me, the part still raw from her betrayal, wanted to drag this out to make her suffer more. But another part, the pragmatic businessman, knew it was time to cut ties and move on. All right, I said finally. Let's do it. Draw up the papers. 2 days later, I sat across from Vanessa for the last time, signing the divorce papers. She looked pale and drawn, a shadow of the vibrant woman I'd married. As we stood to leave, Vanessa spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm sorry, Alex. For everything. I looked at her for a long moment, remembering the good times, the love I thought we'd shared. But those memories were tainted now, overshadowed by her betrayal. Goodbye, Vanessa, I said simply, turning to walk out of the room and out of her life. As I stepped out onto the street, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. It was over. Really, truly over. My phone buzzed with a text from Kelly. Drinks to celebrate? Jordan and I are at O'Malley's. I smiled, typing back a quick on my way. As I hailed a cab, I realized this was the first time in months I felt genuinely excited about something. The bar was crowded when I arrived, but I spotted Kelly and Jordan at a corner booth. They stood as I approached, Kelly pulling me into a tight hug. How you feeling, big brother? She asked as we sat down. I considered the question, taking a sip of the whiskey Jordan had already ordered for me. Honestly, I feel free. Jordan raised his glass. To new beginnings, then. We clinked glasses, the familiar burn of good whiskey a comfort after months of stress and anger. As the night wore on, our conversation drifted from the drama of the past few months to future plans. Kelly was thinking of starting her own PR firm, while Jordan was considering taking some time off to travel. What about you, Alex? Kelly asked. What's next for the newly single tech mogul? I leaned back, realizing I hadn't given much thought to my personal future beyond the immediate goal of divorcing Vanessa. I don't know, I admitted. I've been so focused on the company and the divorce. I guess I need to figure out who I am outside of all that. Jordan nodded sagely. Maybe you need a hobby. Something completely unrelated to business or relationships. I chuckled. Like what? Knitting? Kelly's eyes lit up. Oh, remember how you used to love photography in college? Why don't you pick that up again? The suggestion stirred something in me, a memory of happier, simpler times. You know, that's not a bad idea. I could use something to take my mind off work. As we continued to chat and drink, I felt a sense of possibility opening up before me. For so long, my life had been defined by my marriage and my business. Now, I had the chance to rediscover who I was, what I wanted. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. I threw myself into my photography hobby with the same intensity one applied to my business dealings. I took classes, bought top-of-the-line equipment, and spent my weekends exploring the city with my camera. At work, I initiated a series of new projects, channeling my energy into innovation. The team responded with enthusiasm, and soon the office was buzzing with a renewed sense of purpose. One sunny Saturday, as I was setting up a shot in Central Park, I heard a familiar voice. Well, look who's gone full tourist. I turned to see Lena approaching, a bemused smile on her face. Lena, I greeted her, lowering my camera. What brings you to this neck of the woods? She shrugged, falling into step beside me as I continued my walk through the park. Just enjoying the day. Didn't expect to run into you here, especially not with that fancy camera. I chuckled, patting my camera affectionately. New hobby. Turns out there's more to life than boardrooms and balance sheets. Lena nodded approvingly. Good for you, Mr. Michaels. It's nice to see you lighter. We walked in companionable silence for a while, stopping occasionally for me to take a shot. As we reached the Bethesda fountain, Lena spoke again. You know, I've been meaning to call you. I have some information you might find interesting. I raised an eyebrow, lowering my camera. Oh, what kind of information? Lena glanced around, then led me to a nearby bench. As we sat, she leaned in, her voice low. It's about Vanessa. She's been making some interesting moves lately. I felt a flicker of the old anger, quickly replaced by curiosity. What kind of moves? She's been reaching out to some of your old business partners, Lena explained, trying to drum up support for a new venture. Something in tech, from what I've gathered. I snorted. Vanessa wouldn't know a line of code if it bit her on the ass. What's her angle? Lena shrugged. Not sure yet, but I thought you should know. Just in case she tries to use any of your old contacts or proprietary information. I nodded, my mind already racing with possibilities. Thanks, Lena. Keep an eye on it, will you? Let me know if anything concrete develops. Will do, Mr. Michaels, Lena said, standing up. Enjoy your photography. It suits you. As she walked away, I sat for a moment, contemplating this new information. Part of me wanted to jump back into action, to counter whatever Vanessa was planning. But another part, the part that had been enjoying the peace of the past few weeks, rebelled at the thought. I picked up my camera, focusing on a pair of children playing by the fountain. As I clicked the shutter, I made a decision. I wouldn't let Vanessa drag me back into her drama. I'd keep an eye on the situation, sure, but I wouldn't let it consume me. Not again. Over the next few weeks, I continued to focus on my photography and my company's new projects. Lena kept me updated on Vanessa's movements, but nothing concrete materialized. It seemed her attempts to break into the tech world were meeting with little success. One evening, as I was reviewing some new product designs in my home office, my phone rang. It was Kelly. Hey, big brother, she said as soon as I picked up. You busy? I leaned back in my chair, stretching. Just wrapping up some work. What's up? Jordan and I were thinking of grabbing dinner. Want to join us? I glanced at the clock, surprised to see it was already past 8. Sure, why not? Where are you thinking? That new Thai place on 5th. Meet us there in an hour? An hour later, I found myself seated across from Kelly and Jordan, a spread of fragrant Thai dishes between us. As we dug in, the conversation flowed easily, touching on work, Kelly's plans for her PR firm, and Jordan's upcoming vacation. "So, Alex," Jordan said, helping himself to more pad thai, "how's the photography going? Gonna quit the day job and become the next Ansel Adams?" I laughed, shaking my head. "Hardly, but it's good. Relaxing. Helps me see the world differently, you know?" Kelly nodded, a warm smile on her face. "I've noticed a change in you, Alex. You seem more at peace." I considered her words, realizing she was right. The anger that had driven me for so long had faded, replaced by a sense of contentment I hadn't felt in years. "I guess I am," I admitted. "It's like I've finally let go of all that negativity. I'm ready to move forward." Jordan raised his glass in a toast. "To moving forward, then, and to new beginnings." As we clinked glasses, I felt a surge of gratitude for these two people who had stood by me through everything. "Thank you," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "Both of you. I couldn't have gotten through all this without you." Kelly reached across the table, squeezing my hand. "That's what family's for, big brother. We'll always have your back." The rest of the evening passed in a blur of good food, better company, and plans for the future. As we said our goodbyes outside the restaurant, I felt a sense of excitement I hadn't experienced in a long time. Back at home, I found myself drawn to my balcony, camera in hand. The city stretched out before me, a glittering tapestry of lights and life. I raised my camera, focusing on the distant horizon where the city met the sky. I smiled to myself, lowering the camera. This, I thought, was what moving forward really meant. Not forgetting the past, but not letting it define my future either. The next morning, I woke early, energized, and ready to face the day. As I sipped my coffee and scrolled through my emails, I came across one from Lena. "Mr. Michaels, thought you should know Vanessa's tech venture fell through. Seems she couldn't secure funding. Sources say she's leaving town, heading to the West Coast for a fresh start. Let me know if you need any further information. Lena." I read the email twice, surprised by my own reaction. There was no satisfaction in Vanessa's failure, no desire to gloat or celebrate. Instead, I felt nothing, or rather, I felt free. I closed the email without responding, then picked up my phone and dialed Kelly's number. "Hey," I said when she answered. "You free this weekend? I was thinking of taking a photography trip upstate. Thought you and Jordan might want to join." Kelly's surprise was evident in her voice. "Really? That sounds great, Alex. Let me check with Jordan and get back to you." As I ended the call, I caught sight of my reflection in the window. The man looking back at me was different from the one who had discovered his wife's betrayal all those months ago. He was stronger, yes, but also softer in some ways, more open to life's possibilities. I raised my coffee mug in a silent toast to that man. To new beginnings, indeed. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your precious time. If you enjoyed this story, then please make sure you subscribe to this channel. That would help me a lot. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.